6 teams on bye next week. Let's beat the waiver wire right now on Fantasy Football Today in 5. I'm Adam Azer here, joined by nobody. It's another solo show. Chris Towers, get well soon. We should hopefully have him back next week. But thanks a lot for tuning in, everybody. Let's talk about who we need to get right now. So Atlanta, Chicago, Green Bay, the Colts, the Saints, and Washington are on bye next week. Fields and Rodgers being the two big quarterbacks. I'm looking at the Detroit-Minnesota game as the game to look to target to beat the waiver wire. And I know it's going to be kind of more in the shallow side, but Jared Goff is, as of recording this on Friday afternoon, 66% rostered. He would be the first guy I pick up. Jared Goff against the Minnesota Vikings. The other quarterback to look at is Ryan Tannehill against the Jaguars. If you don't do that, you're looking at Kenny Pickett or Mike White probably. So Tannehill and Goff are the guys to get right now. It's, there are 6 teams on bye, but they're not the most talented teams offensively. So that's the good news, but it still is going to be tough for a lot of fantasy managers out there. So Goff and Tannehill are 1 and 2 for me at quarterback. At running back, you could look at Kyren Williams and hope that he gets more work this week with Cam Akers dealing with an illness as of Friday afternoon. He's 57% rostered, Kyren Williams. He's facing the Raiders. They're actually pretty good against the run most of the year. They've been pretty good against the run, but they're bad in the passing game against the run or against running backs. So you can look at Kyren Williams. Of course, J.K. Dobbins, he might be back next week. Melvin Gordon might be a player who has a bigger role. And Chuba Hubbard is someone who had a lot of carries a couple of weeks ago. So I guess it was last week, but it'll be a couple of weeks by the time he plays Seattle next week. So Dobbins, Kyren Williams, Chuba Hubbard, and Melvin Gordon. You could always pick up a guy like Zamir White. You can still get Jaylen Warren. He's still available, and hope that, he has a bigger role. Maybe he can earn that this week. But, those are the guys that we haven't talked much about this week are Dobbins, Kyren Williams, Chuba Hubbard, and Melvin Gordon. I still think you should definitely get Zamir White in case that calf injury acts up for Josh Jacobs. At wide receiver, please check to see if Jerry Jeudy is available in your leagues. Hopefully he can come back. Zay Jones would be a great one, 65% rostered. And next week will be the 3rd straight game for Zay Jones against a team that gets thrown at a lot, that sees a lot of wide receiver targets. Last week it was the Ravens. This week it is the Lions. Next week it's Tennessee for Zay Jones. So grab him if you can. Traylon Burks, Sky Moore, a couple of emerging rookies. They might be available. You could look at maybe DJ Chark or Josh Reynolds for the Lions against Minnesota. You could also take a look at Elijah Moore and just hope things happen. But Zay Jones, if he's available, would be the slam dunk. And if he's not, I love Burks, but he's 70% roster right now. How about Sky Moore? Maybe you can get, 50, 60 yards from Moore. At tight end, it's ugly. It really is. But Mike Gesicki and hopefully a shootout at the Chargers. Gesicki's been pretty bad at times this year. I get that. I don't really want to start him. And hopefully there are enough players on your waiver wire, like maybe a Hunter Henry's still going to be on your waiver wire. He already played. You're not going to go with a Carolina tight end against Seattle or anything like that, but you could go with Daniel Bellinger. You could look at Tyler Conklin. He's got a terrible matchup at Buffalo. So I can't really sit here and give a strong endorsement for any tight end. But there usually are a number of them. Maybe Jelani Woods. Maybe Jelani Woods turns week 12 into something in week 13, and then we have him in week 14. Oh, nope, he's on a bye. Never mind. Sorry. So tight end's going to be rough. DST's Seattle is the one that I would look to pick up for next week, unless the Chiefs have been dropped because they're playing the Bengals this week. They get the Broncos next week. So that is your Beat the Waiver Wire segment. I do have a few people here hanging out and watching the video, and I'll answer some questions. Chris Godwin or Christian Watson? I am definitely going to go with Chris Godwin this week. Unless it's non-PPR, then maybe you could no, either way, I'd go with Godwin. He's rolling a little bit now. I have Diggs and Waddle. All right. So Colin has Diggs and Waddle. Yeah. So you're going to go with Godwin there as your wide receiver 3, and you are set up for your playoff run. Justin Fields versus Trevor Lawrence. That is a great question. I'm going to go with Trevor Lawrence just because of the injury. Otherwise, it would be a no-brainer to go with Justin Fields. But what if he re-aggravates it? I like Lawrence enough this week where I'm comfortable going with him. And a question from Jared: Jeff Wilson or Leonard Fournette? I'm going to go with Leonard Fournette. I'm nervous about the Dolphins running backs. 49ers run defense is as good as it gets. So I'm going to go with Fournette here because, Fournette got hurt early in the third quarter 2 games ago against the Seahawks. He had more carries than Rachaad White. He was doing better than Rachaad White at that point. I like White better than Fournette because White's done a great job in Fournette's absence, and Fournette's been kind of meh all year. But my point is, I think Fournette will have a big enough role to justify starting him over Jeff Wilson. Who to start? Zonovan Knight, Gus Edwards, or Jeff Wilson? I'd go with Gus in non or half. Yeah, I'm just thinking, do I go with Zonovan Knight in full PPR? I'm going to say no. I'm going to go with Gus Edwards no matter what. Kamara or Pacheco? Full PPR, Kamara. Any other format, Pacheco. Rashad White or Pacheco? I'm going to go with Rashad White in full PPR. Lazard or Josh Palmer? That's going to be Josh Palmer, assuming Mike Williams is out. If Mike Williams plays, I think I would go with Lazard. And that's going to do it for me here on Fantasy Football Today in 5. Thanks for watching and listening, everybody. We'll talk to you later.